Right here are some very large reed pipes. Look at the size of that boot and the resonator that goes on with a big twist and then up to about, well, I don't know, about 12, 14 feet? Incredible! But for those very lowest, very reedy sounds, that's the kind of resonator that we need. So from very small ones, now you've seen some very large ones. Now, you need to know, why in the world is this pipe bent up like this? Remember the story about our organ, how it got started. It was built in 1939 for the previous church building. And in 1959, when this building was being constructed, they literally took that organ out of the previous church building, took it back to the factory, reworked certain sections, added some more to it, and then reinstalled it here. That would have been fantastic to see, because they would have had to have pulleys and lifts and all sorts of scaffolding and so on to get all of this instrument up in here before the facade was put on the chancel wall. It had to be installed first, because there's literally no way to get up here except one small trap door. Everything else had to have come through the front before the wall was put in. But you see, when these pipes were in the previous church building, the chamber for the organ was much smaller than this particular chamber. And so how are we going to fit this in here? Well, the organ builders knew that they could literally bend the pipe in a complete circle here, and still it would maintain the same sound. The column of air is the same length, it's just that it had to be bent in order to fit in. They wouldn't have to be here. We have enough height in this room for them to be straight up and down. As you continue to look over there, you'll see some wood pipes that, then you'll see that they are bent over also, up high there. They can do that with wood pipes as well as metal pipes. And so that's what they chose to do. And they did, again, they did not rebuild them. It takes a tremendous amount of skill to make all of these pipes, because everything has to be exactly right. The ratio of the width to the length is different. That determines the quality of the sound. The pitch of the sound is the length of the pipe. The quality is that ratio. And of course, people have, for the last 500 years, have been experimenting with all of these different ratios and determining what sounds best, what works best, what goes together best. If you're wondering about the string on that, those set of resonators there, it's a very practical thing. It's holding them in place. After all, this is a relatively soft metal. And over a number of years, it can gradually start to sag. And so, literally, they are tied in place to keep them exactly where the builder wants them to be, so that that doesn't happen. Very practical. There are certain synthetics and so on that have found a place in organ building, but they've discovered that some of the techniques and materials that have been in use for the better part of 500 years still work the best. That's one of the wonderful things about the organ, is that everything here can be worked on. Nothing here ever goes really out of date completely. Everything is repairable. Now you're looking at the wall, and we're down several rows, and we're over on the choir side now. And right in front of you, there are, well, it kind of looks like Venetian blinds turned sideways. When Dick presses one of the pedals on the organ console, it literally shuts those blinds. It's just a mechanical control, and actually we renewed it so that it functions better. There is the control box for the swell shades, we call them, or you might call them Venetian blinds. Not every part of the organ has those, just two divisions do. It's very crowded up here with all of these different components. And this is a place where no one else really is permitted or has opportunity to come. It's just too easy to bump into something and damage something. So that makes it a very special place for us to come today in order to get this video made for you to know. This is one of the treasures of St. Mark's. If we had to replace this, the cost would be something over $500,000. That's what I said. This is a treasure financially, but also musically. This is the best place in Williamsport to have an organ. Speaking down the length of the nave from the right on the main axis, in the nave having reflective surfaces, and so it can speak well. It's not the largest instrument in town, but it's in the most favorable position, and that adds to its treasure. You need to know also that the room is actually part of the instrument. If this instrument were in some other place, it would not sound nearly so grand. It takes good advantage of its space. So thanks to the builders of 70 years ago who got it right, and to the rebuilders 50 years ago who got it even better.